The Huntsman has easily become one of my favorite weapons to play with in TC2, because of how it changes marksman from just standing in one place across the map killing everyone. Yeah, I'm not having fun. Into a much weaker close range class. When I say weaker, I mean obviously arrows aren't as strong as bullets, so that would make the Huntsman weaker than any other sniper rifle because it's being compared to guns, which... Wait, the Huntsman does more damage than sniper rifles? That must mean the Huntsman is the best marksman primary! In case you've forgotten, or don't know at all, the Huntsman's stats are fairly simple. The longer you charge up controls the damage and speed of the arrow. It can't be deflected, less accurate if the bow is fully charged for more than 2 seconds, and 33% less movement speed while charging up. These stats are fairly simple and don't even really matter. Like, the item description should just say, it shoots arrows, dumbass, and it'd be the exact same. Despite this simple piece of medieval weaponry, some people do not take a liking to it. The whole Huntsman is luck-based comes from TF2's Lucksman stereotype, which even then doesn't make too much sense. I suppose shooting down the same short walkway, praying somebody walks into your arrow, does count as luck-based though. In all seriousness, the Huntsman does take a decent amount of skill to use, and luck. The main skill of Huntsman revolves around predicting, and of course, predicting matters a lot for the speed of your target. Simply put, the slower the better. So if you're fighting someone like a flanker, you're gonna have a lot more of a tough time compared to fighting someone like a brute. Now, I hate to hold your hand with some of this, but most of my audience is 7 years old anyways, unless you're all 50 years old like YouTube tells me. Whose grandpa's watching me? Anywho, so far we've talked about how awesome this weapon is, but to be quite honest, this thing is a total mess. If you don't know much about the Huntsman, you probably don't know what this clip is showing. Here is 2 TC2 clients being recorded and ran at the exact same time, which, paying a little more attention, you can see the arrows are not on the same spot on both clients. The receiving end of the arrow is differently compared to who shot it, and even at some points you can see the arrow disappear and do no damage, hitting the other player. And for the shooter's point of view, you can see the arrow fly past the other player. Now in demonstration, I'm aware this doesn't seem like too big of a deal, especially for the shooter, but I assure you, in practice, it matters a lot more. And did you really think we're only going to talk about playing with the Huntsman? Of course we have to talk about playing against the Huntsman. Now, I'm aware that last section didn't really seem to fit into the good section, but having your enemies dodge ghost arrows sometimes is nice, because the majority of the time, they manage to walk into your real arrow. And I bring this up now because this is what makes fighting the Huntsman a nightmare. For an example, here's a VSB clip, and I know VSB isn't the best game mode to make a point off of, but who cares, just watch. Now, from this next frame, do you either think the arrow instantly kills the doctor, as it should, or the arrow just phases out of reality after touching the doctor? Of course it's number 2. Have you learned nothing yet? Why would the arrow kill him? It's total nonsense, and I can't even begin to explain why the Huntsman functions like this. It's not like any other projectiles do this, and to prove that, I tested almost all of them, and it's only ever the Huntsman. I even tested the goddamn burger. But to be fair, I don't really know what I was expecting. Is this overkill? Perhaps. But at this point, I don't care. It drives me mad with how insanely glitchy this entire weapon is. At this point, I might as well change the title to just the bad. Okay, let's just calm down and go over a few more clips. And yes, it's mostly gonna be VSB clips. I mean, Listen, people rarely play Huntsman in casual. Give me a break.
You do anything besides die, fella. This ain't a place
What?
for you.
Excluding the thrilling reaction I have. What? This is another poor doctor that meets the end of an arrow, except this time, it hits around his legs and counts as a headshot. This isn't the craziest example of a weird arrow hitting headshot I've seen, but it does prove that the arrow can be glitchy in both ways. Either not hitting, or, well, hitting. Anyway, let's move on.
I can't do this alone.
Oh, I don't even see what just happened. This clip, for the life of me, I cannot figure out where the arrow goes. Going frame by frame, you can just barely see the arrow leave the bow before the trooper stands in front and blocks the arrow, which doesn't make any sense from this point for it to headshot me. Now granted, I wasn't looking at my monitor and was standing entirely still, but that doesn't excuse how insane this arrow shot really is. I think by now I've made myself clear, but to really send this home, let's go over one more clip. Did you catch it? Probably not. This one happens super fast, so fast that when the arrow hits, for some reason it turns into a black cube, and then it's gone. The arrow does no damage at all, of course, even though it should have at least been a body shot. Alright, that one was super quick, but I think I made my point. Let's wrap this up. Now, I know that entire chapter didn't really put the Huntsman into a good spot, but it needed to be said. And when I said the Huntsman is one of my favorite weapons, I mean it. I wouldn't joke about a copy of an over 10-year-old game. The Huntsman is like my disfigured child. It's kinda ugly, doesn't work very well, but I still love it despite that. Look, what I'm trying to say is the Huntsman overall is a pretty bad pick, being honest. But it's still a good way to find a new, fun way to play the game. Despite how glitchy, bad, ugly, or unpractical it is, the Huntsman is still my favorite marksman weapon. Thanks for watching.
Ow!